It's on your head.
Can I have your attention, please?
Meeting will come to order, please. I can't get my kids to keep quiet. The notice requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act for this meeting have been satisfied. Would you please turn off all electronic equipment, and we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Attention, salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will you call the roll, please?
Mayor Becker?
Here.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Here.
Commissioner Blumberg?
I am here.
We now have a very pleasant experience to go through. Commissioner?
Thank you, Mayor. Welcome, everybody. What a great crowd. What a great day for the city of Margate, for our fire department. And before we start, I just want to say one thing, because we have a lot of members of our police department here, a lot of members of our fire department, probably our whole fire department, a lot of family, friends, and other dignitaries from other towns and chiefs. I saw Lefty. I don't want to mention any names because I might forget one. What I can do is I can speak on Commissioner Blumberg and Mayor Becker's behalf, how proud we are of the Margate Fire Department and Police Department for what they do in our town, how they service our people, take care and protect us every single day. These men and women that go to work every day to protect us walk into situations which we could never imagine. They protect us. Our EMTs see things that we could never imagine. So I want to thank you on behalf of the city, all you in public safety, for what you do for us every day. And as I said, today's a great day in Margate. We have 3 well-deserved promotions. I'm proud of all 3 individuals. Their leadership qualities all came to the surface. And we are a civil service organization, and they did extremely well on all the tests. So I would like to start with our new deputy chief, which I will refer to as chief, temporarily chief. It's okay. Through the process. And before I call Pat up, I just have a few things to say. He joined the fire department in 1996. Pat started his firefighting career as a volunteer firefighter when he joined the Longport Fire Department at the age of 17. He rose up through the ranks in Longport and was lieutenant and is currently a captain. He's come up the ranks in Margate as captain and now deputy chief. He spearheaded a number of projects and activities for the fire department, and during his tenure served as both secretary and treasurer of the union. Patrick also had public safety in his mind all his life. He, along with many other our firefighters, served as a lifeguard on the Longport Beach Patrol, retiring after 25 years. As deputy chief, Patrick will be second in command and will serve as the fire department's training and safety officer. So Pat, can I ask you to come forward with your family? I know Krista's here. Thank you. Your mom's here, Pat, and your children, Patrick, Tommy. Thank you. Great job. Raise your right hand. State your full name.
I, Patrick Armstrong,
Do solemnly
do solemnly
and sincerely promise
and sincerely promise
and swear
and swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will faithfully,
and faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly
and justly
perform and discharge
perform and discharge
all the duties
all the duties
of the office of Deputy Fire Chief
of the duties of office of Deputy Fire Chief
duties of office in the Fire Department of Margate City
in the Fire Department of Margate
to
City
the best of my ability
to the best of my ability
and understanding.
and understanding.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Is that sharp?
Do you want to say, or do we need your signature 5 times?
I'll save it for the end.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's
For all the boys.
Come on over here, real quick. Just sign with
Sign away?
Put your page and sign 5 times. Probably start with that part.
Okay, now we have an opening for captain. Captain Tabasso, please come forward with your family. I know your dad, your mom, Kathy's here. Your sons, Amanda, your wife, Lucy, your sons, Maverick, Lincoln, and Dominic. Is Rocco here? Hey, buddy. How you doing? Jen is here. And Laura, right. Got it straight. Chief, where's the Bible at?
We got it right here. Who's holding the Bible?
We had 2 gentlemen that graduated the first class, the same class in 2004. And Tony being one of them, he joined the fire department May 6th of 2004. Started his career as a volunteer firefighter when he joined the Longport Fire Department. As Tony rose up through the ranks in Margate City, he also always aspired to do more with the fire department. He was directly involved with our fire prevention program, and I've witnessed you missed your calling because as a teacher you do a great job. He with the kids, you should see what he does when he gets down on the floor, and those kids love it. It's exciting to watch. So he does a great job during Fire Prevention Week, going through the school system, and again, it's all part of our training and bringing people an awareness and educating our people in the town. Tony, like many other firefighters also, has been faithful to public safety and being a Longport lifeguard for 20-some years. Now he's retired. Tony also is fortunate to be a part of a legacy following his father's footsteps in the fire department, our former chief, Tony Tabasso Sr. In addition, as he will be shift supervisor of Platoon 4. As shift commander, he will oversee all operations and incident responses for the shift. In addition, he will supervise all training activities in coordination with the shift lieutenant. He served under his father, Vince Jones, John Kelly, and now currently Chief of Indianapolis. So if you put your right hand on the Bible,
Raise the
right hand, repeat after me. I state your full name.
I, Anthony M. Tabasso,
Do solemnly and sincerely promise
do solemnly and sincerely promise
and swear
and swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will faithfully,
and I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly
and justly
perform and discharge
perform and discharge
all the duties of the office of fire captain
all the duties of the office of Fire Captain
in the fire department of the city of Margate
in the Fire Department of the City of Margate
to the best of my ability
to the best of my ability
and understanding.
and understanding.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Now, have a
Again, May 6, 2004, David Funk is of that class. He is currently the treasurer in the Margate Fire Department Union. Dave has always aspired to do more with the Margate City Fire Department and was always willing to lend a helping hand and go the extra mile. Dave started as a volunteer in Longport, following the footsteps of his grandfather, his uncle, and his father. He rose to the rank of lieutenant during his tenure as a volunteer in Longport. David has always been a public safety and providing service to the people when he's not working as a firefighter. He is also a lifeguard in Ventnor, captain there currently, and many times South Jersey champion. The DNA follows because your dad and George Miller, one of the all-time great crews, had many South Jersey championships also. Dave will be assigned to Platoon 3. As lieutenant, he will oversee all operations and incident responses in the absence of the captain. As lieutenant, he will oversee all training activities in coordination with the ship captain. He has served under Chiefs John Kelly, Tony Tabasso, and currently Dan Adams. So congratulations, David. There's the Bible. You holding it, buddy? Good job. Please raise your right hand. State after me. I, you can state the full name.
I, David Funk,
Do solemnly and sincerely
do solemnly and sincerely
promise and swear
promise and swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of
and
America
the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will impartially,
and that I will partially,
justly,
justly,
and faithfully
and faithfully
perform and discharge all the duties
perform and discharge all the duties
of the office of Fire Lieutenant
of the office of Fire Lieutenant
in the City of Margate's Fire Department,
in the City of Margate Fire Department,
to the best of my ability
to the best of my ability
and understanding,
and understanding,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Here?
Chief, you're in charge of traffic. Get the hell out of here.
Gabby, that is today.
Here, you want to hold this for Daddy? There you go. Hold that for Daddy.
Then, go out, go out.
Mayor, commissioners, executive staff, everybody, police, fire, thank you so much on behalf of Tony and Dave. It's truly an honor to carry on serving the people of Margate. Our department makes it easy for us. The men and women do this job so graciously, professionally, and they make us look great. And working in one of the finest little fire departments in the country is an honor. And thank you again for this privilege. And now we're going to go to Boca, and Dave Funk's going to buy the first one.
Buy it for chicken.
I guess that's it for the promotional part. Mayor, I don't know if you want to just give a couple minutes or what the plan is?
We're fine. You know, guys, pardon my voice. I'm losing my voice. It started Monday. I went home and told Mary, I said, Mary, I'm losing my voice. And she said, oh, good. Guys, it's a pleasure to be a mayor of such a great community. And you guys, not only you, but the entire department, just make us so proud, make us safe. everywhere I go, people just marvel about Margate and all the people that live here, work here, and all that. Thank you very much for all you do. I appreciate it. Yes, let's go. On the agenda, 2 items for discussion. First is Steve Giuseppe. Are you here for the green team? Come on up.
There you go.
10 minutes, Steve. 10 minutes. I just told Fred to time you, so.
Hi, Steve Giuseppe from Sustainable Margate, the Green Team. First, I want to talk about that I put on your desk there in front of you. We have a Marine Mammal Stranding Center workshop coming up on February 8th. That's at 10 a.m. and that's going to be at the Boone Pavilion. And this is, we feel this is a worthy effort because a lot of seals and whatever animals that come to the shore, people don't know what to do. The seals come up, they want to push it back in the water. They don't know that they need to rest. So this would be a good educational piece for people to understand, and it's good for Margate, it's good for the Stranding Center as well. Today we wanted to address, once again, plastic bags for the city of Margate. New Jersey is on the cusp of doing a bag ordinance, but we want to further address this again because it started here and we are the gatekeepers of the ocean here, and it's a serious problem. So I want to introduce Monica Coffey and Jenny Gormley because they did the research and they want to talk about this.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for revisiting this issue. It's very important to us. And I also want to have the members of Sustainable Margate stand up who are here. A lot of them came. And we speak not only for ourselves, but for residents who ask us. You're on the green team, you haven't done anything about plastic? Well, we're back. We're back. We are one of 20 shore towns that 20 shore towns do have plastic bag ordinances, so including our neighbors on either side, so we're really in the squeeze here. Avalon, Stone Harbor, Ocean County, Monmouth County. 50 municipalities in New Jersey have some kind of, do have a plastic bag ban, and another 50 have them in the pipeline, ordinances that are pending, something about plastic pending. So we're hoping something happens in Margate. Of course, there's 12 states that have bans, and there's probably 40 or 50 countries, Ireland, France, and on and on. When we get to that point, when you get to that point, I would seriously consider looking at Brigantine and Summers Point as models. They are the best that we know of because they're very clean and they're very simple. They're just, there's no plastic, it's very simple. Soft bag, maybe the merchant gives you a paper bag, maybe the merchant charges you 10 cents, which is what it costs him, I guess. Whatever, they are very good models, and we can suit it to our needs, whichever is best. One thing I don't think people realize is that a plastic bag ordinance can be cost-effective for a municipality. Summers Point ShopRite has saved money. They used to buy 3 pallets of plastic a week. Now they buy 1. I think some businesses don't realize that. They can actually save money. So that's kind of good. And I also want to take the opportunity to thank who's ever in charge of getting more trash cans at street ends. Because dog walkers like me, and maybe there's just walkers all winter long anyway, but we pick up all kinds of stuff, and maybe we wouldn't be as likely to do it if there weren't bags to put it in. So it's all good, and we appreciate it. And one other thing is I have got to commend one of your employees, Anthony Edge, who is just off the charts. He's a member of our committee. We're very proud of Anthony. Anthony does the tough, awful stuff, or makes sure it gets done. In the fall, I was surprised. You fishermen might have been surprised. There was a lot of fishing line all over the beach. Why aren't fishermen? And I would pick up what I could, but at one point there was like an underground tree with all fishing line. Called Anthony Edge, it was gone the next day. He said, what street? Iroquois in the beach. Next day it was gone, so he's a really good employee, and we're glad to have him there. But please revisit this. We're standing out there like a sore thumb, and it's not good.
You've got 5 minutes and 39 seconds. No, I'm kidding.
I don't need that much time. Monica Coffey, 16 North Fredericksburg. There isn't really much I can add to what Ginny's already said, other than the fact that, yes, we were one of the first. We started on this in 2013, and then we've sat back and watched all of our neighbors kind of, take the lead and pass the appropriate ordinances. We know from our work with the community doing education and outreach that the businesses are supportive. So, I mean, they get it, and now with Philadelphia having passed its own bag ordinance, which bans plastic, and I'm not sure if they put the fee on paper or not. They were arguing over that. It may not have happened. But, a lot of our summer residents are coming from that area. I mean, anyone that travels, that, as Ginny said, there are so many countries that have already done this, and entire states that, we'd just like to see Margate on that same list. So, and again, as Ginny mentioned, our preference would be a ban on plastic, of course with certain exceptions for, fish or meats, things like that. But a ban on plastic and a fee on paper. So, I mean, without that fee, there is not a disincentive for people to remember their own bags. So we do feel the fee is important, but, so that's it. We would just like the city to agree to take another look and revisit the issue. So,
Consider it done.
Monica, is
that was too easy.
Is that how it works in Summers Point? So if I go to the Wawa in Summers Point, I can't get a plastic bag?
So I haven't been to Wawa in Summers Point since this happened, but the city updated their ordinance to ban plastic, and that's a good question. I'm not sure what Wawa there is doing.
Yes, they charge.
So it's not an all-out ban. I have to pay for a bag.
Well, they may have gone. There is a loophole that some businesses take advantage of, which is if you don't include, a definition of a plastic bag and how thick it is, they will just go to a heavier plastic bag and kind of get around.
So when I go to ShopRite, can I buy a plastic bag there? Or are they, so 10 cents I can buy a plastic bag.
It's
So
reusable.
is that,
Right.
No,
So-
well, not anymore, but I did talk to ShopRite this past weekend. And what they are doing is, and the woman just, I said, she was calling me about my grocery order, and I just said, I don't want it packed in any plastic. I'll pay for reusable bags. And she said, oh, well, next week or the week after, we're going to a thicker plastic bag, so you don't have to worry about that. So it sounds like they are trying to circumvent the ordinance, or else Summers Point just didn't tighten it up enough. So, I mean, no system is going to be perfect, but, even if it makes a 60% improvement.
so if I might ask either Ginny or Steve if you could forward to us, to Johanna, a model that you guys want us to take a look at. If it's Brigantine, get us Brigantine. If it's Summers Point, get us Summers Point. Because it doesn't sound to me like it's an all-out ban, if you will. So in that regard, CVS and Wawa here will be allowed to carry bags that people would be able to buy them. I don't know if that meets the goal. So I'd like to see the ordinance that you want us to model, and maybe we can
Sure.
take a look at that.
And, anything that we can do here locally will definitely help the state efforts as well to get the assembly to do their part, so.
CVS would have to buy paper bags like they do in San Francisco. There's no plastic in the city of San Francisco. But there are CVS's in San Francisco, and you can buy a paper bag. So that's a good one. We do have a good model.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, good.
I just want to say one other thing. One of the reasons for this, all this.
Come to the
mess-
microphone, please, Jenny.
Well, for all this mess on the beaches and streets too, Atlantic Avenue, Ventnor Avenue, there's all this construction. You can't go 3 blocks without, tear downs and, all kinds of trash flying around because of all the new housing that's going on. So construction has aggravated the problem. It eventually winds up in the ocean.
Okay.
Yes.
If you get us that, we'll take a look at it, okay?
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Scott,
Doing it for now.
what's going on with Chris Brown?
Is Chris still here? You're here? You're hurting for time, right? What? Can we take it out of order for him on the Union Avenue street vacation, the workshop discussion on that?
But that's not even on the agenda.
No, it's just a workshop, right. I don't, and that's not on the introduction, right?
No.
No. But it's been floating around, and I think Mr. Balance's here. Are you gonna comment on this, or?
I thought it was first reading today.
No.
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 When did that change?
Well, it was tweaked, and it was going back and forth between the various attorneys involved.
Right.
And so we kept changing the wording, and now we're gonna discuss it
It
at
wasn't-
workshop, and then,
It wasn't ready to get on this agenda.
Are you going to discuss this?
I think so.
Okay, thanks, Chris. All right, next item, safe routes to school. Who would like, Marty? you want-
Well, go ahead. No, the reason I think we have this here is that we wanted to just publicly discuss and let the public know that we're looking at we had this Safe Routes to School program where we've redone some intersections. The state has put up some signage for us. It's a continuing project and it's under review. We know that we have some issues that we're addressing, and one of the things we wanted to talk about specifically were the bike signs, and I think the chief had an update on that for us, as well as the one-way street sign at Huntington. So they were the things that we wanted the public to know that we are still looking into address. Right now, if you come down Huntington, you're blocked between Monmouth and Amherst, and you're directed toward the school. That is contrary to what we thought the program was going to do for us, so we're looking to change that. But it becomes a little more complicated because you can't just change it without impacting the way traffic flows on the other streets, on adjacent streets like Haverford and Iroquois. So the chief is looking at that. We have our traffic engineers are looking at that, and hopefully it'll be a work in progress, and sooner than later we're going to be able to get it fixed and get it right.
To follow up
Chief.
with that.
While there's public here, why don't you bring them update on the signs?
Yes. After we discussed the verbiage on the signage, the original grant with the bicycles may use full lane, after discussions here and discussions with Ed, we were able to come up with a solution, and we're in the process of changing the verbiage to share the road. People are more comfortable with that. The first 10 went up about a week ago. The rest of the order came in today. Traffic maintenance is in the process right now of working and changing the verbiage on all the signs, so it's maybe a little more clear for the motoring public.
Thank you, Chief. Anybody want it? Okay. Thank you, Maury. Thank you. Anything else? If not, we'll go right to department head reports. Why don't we start with Dan? Why don't you start?
Okay, Mayor. Thank you, and thank you very much, Mayor and Commissioners, for allowing us to have this great promotional ceremony today. All three of our personnel that were promoted today really do have the best interest in the heart of the city of Margate and the fire department, and I look for good things moving forward from all of them. I just have one other thing I wanted to touch base on. I met with the library officials on Tuesday, Jim Cahill and Charles, and it was in reference to this whole project that we've been working on for almost 2 years together regarding the history of the fire chiefs. We've come to a conclusion we have the product ready to go, and I was supposed to get flyers or pictures today to hand out to you guys so you could see what it actually is going to entail. But what we'd like to do is to take 5 to 10 minutes at the February 6th work session and do a quick presentation, because what they're doing is we have 2 of these picture framed items. One is going to hang in the fire department, and the other one is, for now, going to hang in the library and then be moved to the Historical Society. And it would just be a quick presentation, thank those involved, and just move forward. And my thought would be the 3 chiefs that are still with us and myself, we would invite to this ceremony to be here as well if they're able to attend. So that's where we stand with that. It's something we've worked on since Chief Tabasso retired, and we finally have it together and come to fruition. So if you guys are okay with that, I would forward the information to Johanna, and we can get it on the February 6th agenda. Other than that, that's all I have for today.
Dan, just
Thank you.
coordinate with Johanna so we don't miss that deadline.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Lisa?
Yeah, I promise I'll have more to report next time, so don't worry. But just to give you a little update, there's a lot going on in the finance office right now. There's a lot of documents that are required to be filed by January 31st. 2 of them I prepared and submitted today, the UCC report and the annual state library aid report. They were filed today. Also, our annual financial statement is due on January 31st, so I'm working on that. Hopefully I'll have all the closing entries completed tomorrow or Tuesday, so that document can continue. Then our annual debt statement will be in the works, and that is due on February 10th, I believe. I will get you an end of the year finance report probably next month when I have more time to dedicate it and review it. But in the meantime, if there's something that you need, just let me know. Otherwise, I'll just be plugging along.
Thank you,
Thank
Lisa.
you.
Chief?
Mayor, not much to report, as speaking with Commissioner Blumberg, comments, changing over the signs. They said that there's some traffic concerns. We were looking into that right now, spoke with the Commissioner Amadeo about it. They said as we move forward, especially as the summer season approaches, we'll get it taken care of, and we'll get the traffic flow in a good way.
I'm sorry, can I just add one other thing? I just wanted to mention, the Mel/GIF is going to be sending out another training seminar for any city employee other than police officers who are required to do separate training. Any city employee who utilizes a city computer is required to do this training. All but 1 employee completed the first session. So if any of your staff receives an email in regards to training and they're not sure, you could always check with me or check with Dan or Fred, and we can verify that it is the training that's required. But please make sure that it's all completed, because that goes towards satisfying our requirements to keep our deductible at a minimum. Thank you.
Thank you again. Rich?
Yes, I'll just pick up a little bit from Lisa. We've been working together. As you know, that there's some transition that's been planned since last fall with regard to the finance department. Commissioner Bloomberg and I have had discussions before the holidays, and will continue as we go forward. But I did put out a schedule of that transition, which is not a strict schedule, but it is a good guideline schedule. That was emailed to the commissioners today and to all the people in the finance department. The first activity of the change is the employment and hiring of Michael Stinson, who started this past Monday as a senior accountant. And he's going to be extremely helpful in this period of time as we go through retirements and transfers in the finance office. Michael Stinson has worked as an accountant for many years. He's got experience in the private sector, in medical field, and for the last 10 years in the public sector for local government. He's supervised and he's done the work at the base level. He lives in he's a lifelong member of Brigantine. He's a coach in Brigantine, has been for many years. Many people know his family who's in the area. I never really knew him before. I knew of him when he worked in the medical field. He came through a rigorous recruitment process that took about 2 months, involved computerized testing, interviews with 3 or 4 different people, and he is a welcome addition to our finance office. We have some transfers and some pending retirements in the first half of the year, and that's what this schedule relates to. So that's number one. Number two, I've been working, as you know, with Longport for the last 2 months with the potential for assistance to Longport with respect to their municipal court. For a long time, when we first had this building out of commission and could not use it as a courtroom, Longport enabled us to run our municipal court out of the Longport building. They have been in a similar situation and are currently using this building for their municipal court. In addition to that, one of their employees, their deputy court administrator, left recently for a promotion in another town, took another position, and they are required by law to have a deputy court administrator. We have worked out a tentative agreement, which they jumped on last night and I understand approved by resolution, although the actual agreement is still in draft stage, and Scott has been helping us with that and coordinating with their new attorney. On the February 6th meeting, we should have that formalized, but it really is not that complicated. It involves them being able to use this building at no cost for this year, somewhat in return for all the time we spent using their court. And they have certain requirements. They have to provide the security that's here. They have to provide insurance, coordinate with the JIF and make sure that we're protected from an insurance standpoint. In addition to that, we would contract with them in a shared services for a deputy court administrator on an hourly base, on a flat fee for courtroom time, $2,000 a month. And what we'd be required to do is have a deputy court administrator here during their court sessions twice a month. So for twice a month, $1,000 a day, we're able to get a deputy court, they would have a deputy court administrator. In addition to that, her certification that they would be able to use, because they're required to have a court certified person. I think that's it. During that whole period of time between now and the end of the year, we would explore other options with respect to potential actual joint court, and maybe look into the possibility of combining our court with Longport on a permanent basis. But we would have a whole year to work that out. If they needed our deputy for any additional time in Longport for any reason, they have the ability to contract with us on an hourly basis for that to happen. So we'll have that on the agenda for February 6th. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich. Ed, do you have anything?
Nothing to add to my 3 o'clock report. We're winding down our 2019 capital program, ramping up our 2020 program, so there'll be more details at future meetings as that comes into focus. That's all I got.
Thank you. Roger?
Dan, congratulations to your 3 new promotions. When I get promoted, I'm stacking a room full of zoning officers and planners. So, that'll be fun. It'll be real fun. 4 things to report on. One would be bike racks. I'm sure this has been an important issue in everyone's mind.
Give us an update first. How long has this been?
Well, in my stocking at Christmas time, Santa says that the county got approval from DOT, which got approval from the feds to go under contract and get this thing under contract by early summer.
17, right?
Yes.
Probably 22.
Now, the tentative timeframe is under contract by late spring, early summer, under construction by late summer. I mean, there's a lead time on these bike racks, then complete by late fall.
When they're out of style already.
I shake my head every time. This bike racks. This is bike racks. But it was it's a tough project.
Racks your mind.
It's tough to report on. How about that?
It's tough to listen to.
Well, again, that's straight from the county, and we're going back and forth. It's an example of the layers of bureaucracy we have to put up with for bikes racks. Zoning ordinance revisions again tonight. That's for the planning board agreed that all changes are consistent with the master plan. The final ordinance for adoption is for tonight. Explanation is in the consistency report, and highlights will be in the newsletter in the coming weeks. We decided that a 30-day grace period starting tomorrow for the zoning, to be fair to projects already under development. The next planning board meeting is January 30th. There are 5 applications. February is already full. March is getting full now. So we're thinking about adding a second meeting in March, early March, so people don't have to wait 2 months instead of just to try to help people out. Last item that I want to discuss is the water park. I talked to the engineer of record. The DEP has approved the whole application for the water park, including dredging. Now they're waiting for Army Corps approval, and that should be just a minor formality. And I've been encouraging them to get something in for the planning board as it's filling up, as I just discussed. So hopefully something will be in by Easter. Other than that, there's nothing new to report on.
Thank you, Roger. Jim?
Good afternoon, Mayor. Mrs. Gormley, if you want to call the building department and report those job sites that are dirty, I would be more than happy to go down and check it out. Okay. Which one? Thompson.
Jim?
Oh.
Let's go.
Focus, Jim. They tore a house down at Mansfield and Fulton, and go look at the way that Baglevo bordered that. It's beautiful. They subdivided a lot.
Nice job.
I wanted somebody to go check that out. We had another 3 demos come down this week. Anthony, and I think that was Transformation, and then one more was Josh Feldman. Again, we're trying to keep these job sites clean, but I mean, you got to have people report it. There's 75 job sites actively going on in the city right now. That's all I have.
Thank you, Jim. Good. Pat?
Mayor, we've been busy with all the various projects we got going on this winter. And other than that, we're ready for Saturday, if anything comes upon us.
Rain. We're praying for rain. Scott, you're up.
Mayor, Commissioners, we've got a bunch of items here. I'll try to be quick on them. The Phillips situation at 8201 Amherst Avenue, as you know, there was not litigation, but his attorney contacted us. I have emailed him and called him. The attorney's away until the 21st of January, but then he will call me. What he wants to know is when would they have that orange fence down? That's what they're really pushing for. As you know, the house is for sale. And people want to move to Florida, and they feel that that's detrimental. But he's been away now for about a week. But I'm on top of that, and Phillips, lawyer, I've emailed him and left messages on his tape. Okay, let's talk about the Union Avenue vacation. That has been one that I was tasked with. We've amended it a couple of times. I've had the attorneys, the various attorneys involved, have their input. You now have it for your consideration. Understand that the game plan would be the creation of cul-de-sacs, not only a new one on Union Avenue, but also to legitimize or dedicate a portion that's on Thurlow Avenue. They want to implement a new drainage area, and our engineers are going to have to comment and take a look at that one. And the ordinance itself would be conditioned upon various items being completed first, whether it be the dedication, or at the same time, we need a minor subdivision approval. I think it's a minor subdivision approval, and that would go to our planning board. So if you want to consider this, or take a good look at it, a little bit complicated, but it would end up with a new drainage system at the end of Union Avenue, end up with a cul-de-sac there. And that you have, and I've sent you memos on it. Related to that is the request of the owner, the new owner of the house at Union in the Bay. If you saw the memo, I sent you the memo, I thought you would enjoy seeing the picture of the old white yacht that was there.
Dixon.
Yeah. So there are some issues regarding these lots. City acquired title in 1955 by way of a tax foreclosure. Unfortunately, that was at a time when the city did about 158 tax foreclosures. There have been problems in other properties with those foreclosures that are now coming up 70 years old. I had told the attorney representing the buyer, look, you guys run the title report. They came back with an estimate of $1,000 to $3,000. You may have seen my email on that. I don't know that we want to expend that kind of money. What I did do is reach out to the guy who I consider to be the expert on tax foreclosure title searches, Bob Bishop, who's already taken a look at it for me. I may need him to do, he says, Scott, there's problems with these foreclosures. So we may not even have good title to sell them to lot 1 and 1.01. The homeowner, what he wants to do, and the reasons he's asking for this property, and by the way, it's land underwater. That water there is about 30 or 40 foot deep. It's part of a riparian grant at one time. But he wants to put a new bulkhead in. And that would benefit the city too, to see a new bulkhead put in there. So there is a benefit to that. But we may have a problem. It may be just a quick claim deed from the city would be sufficient for his bulkhead needs. There is no upland there. For years, it was carried as about $600,000 or $700,000 in value, but that was a mistake because you can't build anything. There's no house possible to be built there, no land. So we would ultimately have to get an appraisal as well. And that incurs additional expense. So would that be expense off the city's part? Do we tell them to pay for that appraisal? I'm thinking probably in the
They
area.
should pay for it.
Well, I kind of figured that would be it, but that's why I'm asking, what the direction from you. You tell me what to do. But I think we need a good title report on this, and I think we need an appraisal on it to move forward. Okay, shall I go next? Let's talk about Longport Municipal Court. Rich has already got that. That contract's 95% done. We've sent it down to them. I understand they passed a resolution last night. There's some more tweaking to it, but it's only a shared services. I think it makes a lot of sense. And I also contacted the court administrator, had their input on it, so they're on board. I think they favor these things. They even sent me some samples of things that they wanted to see in the contract, which are in there. So we're in good shape with that. A couple more. You had asked me a number of months ago to pursue the Quincy Avenue beachfront with Jeff and Masello. Now we've come in, I've met with the man, try to find out what he wants to do with the lot. So I'm gonna have a memo coming back to you on that. He does wanna buy it. One of the things you have to think about is, do you wanna put a restriction on that if he builds on it? Picture if he built from Rumson to Quincy, a solid house, as Longport has experienced recently. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that one or not. Was it Marvel, apparently at 22nd Street? You might, it's only about 30 foot wide though, and I said to him, what's your intent? He said, well, I just want to have my garage go to what would be the common line between the two lots. Again, that's an appraisal. Now we're gonna have to spend $2,500 at least if we want to sell it to him. So I want you to start to think about that, and we've seen the memos on it, and we will develop it. It's a little bit complicated. Unlike Union Avenue, he would rebuild his bulkhead exactly where it is. And he said he'd like to make the deal be part where he rebuilds the whole street end bulkhead as well. That's been our program, to get those bulkheads rebuilt. He would not be moving out onto the beach though, unlike the other individual at South Union who wants us to allow him to move his bulkhead out to match his neighbors. Again, that would require Green Acres approval.
Question, Mayor?
Yes, please.
Scott, in reference to that, could you have Roger look at it to see what our applicable zoning laws are?
Oh, sure.
That would be allowed, so that we if we have to make a decision, we'd be able to be informed to what the possibilities are there?
Absolutely. I always loved Roger looking at it. I think he did at one point, but we'll absolutely do it again, sure. So you're in favor of me moving forward on that?
Well, I would say it's sandwiched between two houses, right?
Correct.
So each house would have to have a right of refusal.
We would have to offer it to them first because it's undersized. That's a statutory
Right.
requirement. Yeah.
So has Jeff spoken to the other contiguous homeowner?
I don't believe he has. It's a relatively new.
Well, I think that's the first step.
Well, I can certainly say to him, or I can even contact the other homeowner and say, look, we're contemplating this. What's your position? I know what the other homeowner's position is going to be. He's got all glass on that side of his
Well,
house.
the parcel has no use to us because like you said, it's 25 foot wide.
What is it, about 35 foot wide, 30 foot wide? It doesn't meet lot size requirements. It's undersized. It happened back after the March storm of '62 when they came, the Army Corps came in and built their bulkheads in, and they ran a straight line, irregardless of property lines. That's what happened. So we've had them 6 foot wide, 10 foot wide. We have these parcels between the property line and the actual bulkhead. This happens to be a little bit wider than those other ones. So that's where we are with it. But we're not ignoring it. We are moving forward. And you think about it a little bit more, but we're talking about some expenditures there. Okay, a couple other things. Lombardi's, as you know now, we've accepted the 588 feet. We gave them title to the 231 foot strip. There's an additional 15 foot strip. We have asked them now to itemize the improvements in writing. I have not gotten that. I already drew up the resolution and license, which you have, but we wanted, and Rich had some involvement with this, where we wanted some kind of guarantee that the improvement for the parking lot and for the area that would be between their property and Longport's, that what improvements were they gonna do? What kind of landscaping are they gonna do? And I don't know those details, even as of right now, I don't know the details.
It's forthcoming.
It's forthcoming. So when it does, my recommendation, and I know we've been working on this a long time, but to me, they built that trash structure there at the city's request. I verified that, went back a lot of years, and they've incorporated that into their building. It really should be a part of their site. It's not a big area, but it would entail another partial vacation, so that we're not surprised at that. But again, there are physical improvements we're asking them to do for that whole strip. So that's gonna be coming up pretty soon. Okay, and last but not least, we have the initiative ordinance or request that was withdrawn by the proponents. I believe they're gonna come back, but I don't know it for sure. I did a memo for it so that we're all familiar. Interestingly enough, and I always love this stuff, how about there's 2 reported cases involving Margate for initiatives on the record that went to court and actually resulted in reported cases, which are very rare. Most cases are not
What
reported.
case you talking about?
There were 2 of them. One was the Margate Tavern Owners
The
Association.
one you're talking about now?
The board.
For the boardwalk.
Oh,
Next
okay.
one, I went to the initiative ordinance,
Okay,
request. We're a Walsh Act community. Yes, they have the right to do that under the law. It's, they have to get the requisite number of signatures, which they did not produce. But they did produce the signature of 5, we call them electors, requesting the city to put this non-binding question on the ballot, but they withdrew it, right, Johanna? They withdrew it.
Yes.
Yes, yes. So it's been withdrawn at this point. Ball's in their court. I gave you guys a memo on it as to what happens when they do, if and when they come back. That's where she stands today.
Cool. Anything else, Scott?
I think that's it, Mayor.
Thank you, Scott. Phew, thank God.
I was gonna say, Danny, could you get that last word too? No, I'm good. I'm good.
There, Scott.
Okay, I'm good.
Yeah, and he's getting 2 minutes.
So I have
That's it, I get more too. Well, you know, a lawyer, I charge by the word.
Commissioner Blumberg.
Yes. So I have a thank you. I always try and have a thank you. I have a thank you, but before my thank you, I have a comment. And well, maybe it is a thank you and a comment. So I have 2 thank yous then. It's a thank you to Jim for his offer and his work in keeping these construction sites clean. My comment is related to the dumpsters. I think that we should monitor the dumpsters. I don't think that people should have to call. So, and I would say that if we go out and we look at these dumpsters, 90% of them are still not covered. So from where I sit, and I love construction, no more warnings. These people get tickets. The builders get tickets. If they're not covered, then they get tickets. Because Pat and his guys end up cleaning up the trash. It's a pet peeve with me. People don't like to see it, so thanks for the offer, and let's give them tickets. No more Mr. Nice Guy in that regard, because I think we're getting taken advantage of. My thank you goes out to the Green Team, Sustainable Margate, for the volunteer effort, for the great turnout and the great work that you do. I know it's volunteer, and I know that it's good and it does good for Margate, everything that you do. So thank you for those that are still here, and thank you to the folks that had left. And that's all I have.
Thank you. John?
Mayor, thank you. And again, Maury, a very good compliment for you folks to dedicate your time to do the right things as far as our community, public awareness, and all the things that you put on the table. The one thing I can say is every year at our Fun Fest, it's manned, the table's manned, and it's got a lot of information. And Steve picked up right from Monica, so there was never any difference in the leadership there. Keep up the good work. Again, I know Pat mentioned we have a storm coming in this weekend, especially on Saturday. It looks very likely that we will not get snow. It'll be a rain event. But what's coming after that is basically a bad weather push. So be prepared, make sure your outside waters are off, be prepared, and winter's coming. We have basically 10 more weeks to March 31st is what I'm looking. We're halfway through, and we had a break for the last month, maybe five weeks. So again, caution to our residents. It helps our Public Works Department concentrate, our Water Department to concentrate on other things rather than going and repairing streets that are frozen, et cetera. So with that, that's all I have to say, Mayor.
Thank you. And I'm going to save my voice for another day. Maybe it'll come back. And at this point, we will open up to public comment. You have 3 minutes to discuss anything that you'd like to discuss. That was part of today's discussion.
Hi, my name is Kathy Heitzman. I live at 15 South Washington, right up the street here. I wanted to comment about the plastic bag ban in Summers Point. I volunteer at the hospital thrift shop, which is right in that shopping center. And we were told January 16th there would be no plastic. So you can't even buy a plastic bag. The way the stores got around it was they used thicker bags. Like CVS will put, if you go to that CVS, they'll give you a bag without charging you, and that's illegal. So they're really strict with us in terms of the plastic bag ban. So there's not going to be any at all. You can buy those larger bags that I'm sure you've seen. They're like a vinyl kind of bag. But other than that, there's not going to be any plastic there.
Thank you.
So, or paper. You can use paper, but they're even thinking about it. And they're giving you, the stores a 90-day time frame to get rid of what they have. Okay.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Guess I'm not going shopping anymore. And that's what they carry it on.
Steve, you don't get 10 minutes this time.
He gets one, right?
3.
I get 3.
You get 3.
Wait a minute. He used 6 the last time.
No, I used 2. They used 8.
Mr. Sewell gave him his minutes.
So
He's not going to talk tonight.
The Margate Business Association does a lot of good things as far as trying to promote. They came up with these bags on their own, and I want to give them a big compliment on that for working with us on this. And we don't really want to hurt. We don't want to hurt the business association at all because they do so much for Margate. I mean, I don't know what we would do. We wouldn't have a beach stock or Fall Fun Fest. They do a lot, so we really don't want to hurt them. What I have a problem with is the two big stores that are just arbitrarily giving this stuff out. And we do need to get a, as a short towns, we have environmental concern, a serious one. And I think people that come here get it, especially now that New York, Philadelphia, the state of New York, the city of Philadelphia, and a lot of Camdens and a lot of these other towns, 48 towns in New Jersey are starting to pass these ordinances. It's a hard thing to ask to pass an ordinance because of what it's going to affect, and people don't like it. But we have to change our behavior because in our demographics, our population is increasing, our resources are getting slimmer, where trash heaps are getting larger, and we just need to start rethinking another way of sustainability so we can continue. And that's just what I want to add.
Thank you, Steve.
All right.
Any other public comment?
John, you're up, John.
Sewell 22 West Drive, a cautionary note for the law of unintended consequences. When people who have the best, supposedly the best interest of people in mind, in Philadelphia, they had a soda tax. It caused the ShopRite owned by Jeff Brown to be closed and shut. And now you have a food desert. And how do you cure that problem? But to be more germane, people don't realize that reusable bags pose a real, serious health threat. You have salmonella, you have listeria, you have E. coli 0157, which could do your grandchildren or elderly relatives in. And think twice about this. And I certainly think that where the store owner wants to provide a paper bag, I think that should be encouraged. It can be recycled, it can be, there are a multitude of uses for these bags. But rather than jump into this and try to do it piecemeal, I understand they tried to do this in the state legislature and they did not have the votes to pass it. So that should give you some signal in the proper direction to go. If it doesn't have the support of legislators who are subject to being voted out of office, then I think we should also think twice about going down this road. I think there are people out there who have already banned balloons, I just think this social engineering has a lot to be desired, but that's just my perspective. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Any other comment?
May I ask a question about this salmonella business? What's the scientific?
No, John, your name and address, please,
Oh,
first.
beg your pardon. I haven't been here for a while. Stephen Altman.
Steve, it's a public comment session, not a question and answer
Okay,
session.
all right.
You can ask them immediately after the meeting.
Okay, well, let me pose it as a question then, or let me pose it as a comment then. I would like to know what the scientific evidence of salmonella in reusable bags is, if anybody might have an answer. Thank you, sir.
Any other public comment?
Where is this going?
Steve Warner, 103 North Sumner Avenue. Yeah, okay, good. As we all know, I'm president of the Margate Concerned Citizens Group, and I spoke about this before, the signs on Monmouth and Winchester Avenue, and there's been a lot of concerns. I was, requested to come and talk about it today, but it sounds like you got ahead of me, so that's great.
Thank you, Steve.
I just want to let you know that I'm glad to see.
We're on fast time. Your 3 minutes are up, Tony.
We're all on the same page here, and that's very gratifying to know that the city is, trying to work with the people. And I just want to compliment everybody. I don't give too many compliments. No. So it's the first one this year. So anyhow, you guys did a good job. Thanks.
Thank you, Steve. Any other public comment? Is there a motion to close public
I'll
comment?
move to close public comment.
Second.
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes,
Is there a motion to adjourn this meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.
We will re-adjourn, 5 minutes, please.